All right. How you guys doing? Let me write this in. I didn't write it in what this one is about. So let me do it. Greetings to you guys all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the man the temple and the bridal chamber, right? God, that's really putting this title to this. All right, we're in. We're in. I have that up. Sorry about that. Um, so yeah, um, you guys will see it. I usually put in the what it's going to be about before, and then I go, oh, I started the. Today's my third one in a row, so I'm definitely feeling much better. I got some crick on my neck. It's cool. It's all right. I think this will be it for the day. I did 3 videos, which you will see in the near future from today. But when you see it, it will be new to you because I got one for the 6th and the 9th. The 3rd just came out today. So yeah. Hope you guys looked at the 3rd today, and it was about seeking and finding. When you seek, when you're seeking and you're finding, what's next? What happens? This led to the videos previous of this. But I was watching some of the people I like to watch, and I've been watching a lot of Ian Bite with Miguel Connor and some of the guests they have. They have some really good guests. Some that have written books. Some even scholarly that are not based in the traditional religious scholarly, but decode religious scholars, and will tell you about things written in books. And they'll have that, and then people who have with different aspects, just but different spiritual. Like I seen an episode of people of a woman who wrote a book and has been looking and going, and connected. It has connected with the Bigfoot family, and they recognize her because they're advanced. I mean, it was a very interesting story. I really believe this place isn't all that we think it is. A lot of the lore, yeah. But anyways, so today, what are we doing? Here, I'm going to share some movies I've been watching that are connected to spirituality and the reality we're living in that have been telling us about this for like a while, decades. Some of these movies, movies that I watched recently were made in the late 1990s. And the movie I'm going to get in first today and we're going to share about and talk about is the movie The 13th Floor, which really kind of is dynamic in it because this will lead me to, I think it's a perfect introduction, not today, but my next video, as I've been talking about the 13th repentance of Sophia, right? Yes, I have. And then it hit me with the 13 Floors, the name of this movie that we're going to decode and look at it and follow the background of it and look at it. I have another one I want to do called Dark City, which is, whoa. I heard about it, and a long time ago my son told me about it, and I kind of watched it but didn't pay much attention to it, and I was like, whoa, boy, did I miss that then, because both of these movies are dynamic and telling you the truth without telling you the truth, because we think a lot of times movies are entertainment, and I'm telling you they're not. This is where you will find the truth about the reality. It's not going to be in your evening news or even the universities you go to. A lot of that was used for the indoctrination to keep the splits going, or to what they're pushing and indoctrinating us with over the decades that you can see the fallout from if you really open it up and look and pattern recognition, right, that I used to talk about, which was connected to gnosis when we see that, or to revelation knowledge. I think it was kind of in there. Yes, pattern recognition, when I kind of showed the difference between revelation and gnosis, that there was some obscure nuances that connected them. And of course, man, I see why and I see how through what we had did through there. It really answered my questions, and I was even just seeing it and getting more out of it as I read it there. When I did read it earlier, I was getting more like insight, revelation of this, and it really made sense what they're saying. And then right away, the nuances came, and then you had those few, and then the direct differences was perfect that I didn't get other places I went. I didn't get that. It was still very obscure to me, and I wasn't fully getting it because they were so much alike. Even like I said, when I looked into etymology, I was like, Gnosis and Revelations was like exactly the same thing, but I know there's a nuanced difference. And of course, then when we went into that, it was like, voila, here it is. One is showing you, and the other one is being it. It's the being before the being, which definitely is a big hint to me. And we got into the bridal shower a little bit, right? I mean, the bridal chamber, to the going in the temple and not coming back out, which I read years ago, even Christian Esoterica. And I was like, there's something about this that's deep. It talks to me, but I can't tell you I fully at that time had gnosis or a revelation about it, but I knew something of it was in there, was really, really spoke to me, that I knew there was recognizing something that many of us would come in and out, right? I remember we used to even use the word, and Gnosis said we're still coming in and out of that. But it kind of, it's hit me in a more like possibility. And so we've seen the connection between being the pillar, and then we went to the one before it, which is showing me in chapter 2, before 3:12, 2:17, it says you'll be given a stone, you'll be able to write the new name. And then it hit me when I was reading it a few days ago. I was like, the pillar is made out of stone. They're the same. They're unity. It's oneness. The name represents your nature. It wasn't about getting a new name. It was about having your nature, which is new to you, but not really new. You're remembering through gnosis what you already are. It's a remembering, where revelations will show you something, unveil something to you. It could be outside of you, and it could be outside of somebody else. But this is definitely next level, because I'm experiencing it. I hope some of you are too, and those who have an ear to hear, let them hear. And I love that 2:17 started, he that have an ear to hear, let him hear. And we had been talking about the ear, right? We had read the other things about the ear and the eyes, and I shared the dream I had of the structures falling, and I was like, hear it, see it, hear it. And that's the, do you have ears to hear and eyes to see? So with that, kind of gave what we've been getting into now, taking a little break, but also sharing what's been even in our movies. And this really kind of opened me up, because I'm going to share a little bit about me. I was very much with the world. And if you don't know, you should know, I have a nickname for Hollywood, the Wood, and it's not endearing when we know all the stuff they do there, right? All the stuff they do, which we're seeing. I don't want to get in, you know. They're telling you what they do and what they're into. No wonder Pink Floyd said, leave those kids alone, right? You're just trying to make them another brick in the wall. Miseducation, because that was about school. You thought they were being rebellious. They were trying to tell you school was imprisonment of indoctrination to your children. But remember that. But I also know, when I really looked at these movies this weekend, that I was so fierce. I really wasn't watching movies. I didn't really. I used to be a huge movie buff. I used to like to go to the movies quite often, and I haven't for years. It's just like I labeled it evil. I gave it a label, evil, and of course, there's an aspect of it that, of course, is undeniable. But I also know people. It's a very creative art. When it's hijacked by them who do those things, of course it is. But nonetheless, it's like hijacking the symbols. The symbols weren't really necessarily what they made them out to be, right? And I really realized also this is an art form. And in this art form, they're telling you the truth. And these movies have been telling us the truth, and they've been signed off on telling the truth through these movies. Your local news broadcast is nothing but propaganda city. It's a joke. It's like Saturday Night Live. It's not funny. And the new Saturday Night, I don't think it's been funny for years, probably. But again, I don't watch them because I kind of pulled away from that stuff. But these movies, and this movie, definitely And there's a part of another movie I call Detached, kind of too, but not on the realm of this movie. And I'm going to share right now. We're going to get into the story, and I'm going to show. I watched it, and I'm going to share some of the things I seen there. Along with that was also the fact that Detached was real personal in how the world was. That's what was good about that, and how people were, and how stuff is. But let's get into the movie. I have looked it up, but I will share what I know besides that. And I asked the question, which I do, the movie 13th Floor is a gnostic connection. It definitely has one. The 13th Floor refers to the movie refers to the movie's exploration of the nested realities and the simulation hypothesis, which mirrors the ancient Gnostic themes of spiritual imprisonment and the search for the truth, right? So the movie, The 13th Floor, remember there's 13 heavens in the Gnostic tradition of gospel. The 13th repentances of, I've told you, this leads me, I got to do it next following the 13th floor. And then after that, we'll go into Dark City. That's my plan right now. But the 13th floor remind me of the 13 levels. And also that's connected to Sophia and her 13 repentances. It was the 13th floor of a building. This is where the foundation of the simulation was in this movie, which mirrors the ancient themes of spiritual imprisonment. The world as a prison is central to Gnosticism, is the idea of this. We know this. I want to know more about the movie of this, right? Okay. Let me do this a little bit different. Let me add, we're looking at Gnostic, what it means, which it does have some. Okay, let me go down. Maybe it does. Okay, it does. I was thinking it was just telling us about that. In central to Gnosticism, the material world is a flawed lower-level simulation created to trap the divine spark. In the film, the characters discover their 1990s reality is merely a computer simulation running on a server. The real year is 2024. So the story, which we're going to get into, is the world at that time. Also, the 1990s, right? But the running on a server in the real year, in 2024. Notice that. But it's not. The characters are from the 90s, but they travel to 1937. It doesn't say that, but it's in the next part. The movie features creators who play God, with their digital Dexons, for instance. Hannon Fuller and Douglas Hall act as demiurges to the 1937 simulation, while the real inhabitants of 2024 serve as the higher level creators of the 1990 world. This is the story, right? In the story, which I'll get into this, is they create a computer, right, because it's 2024, which allows them to manufacture the 1990s, but they created a simulation within the simulation that goes to 1937. And the people who created this, the demiurges, really, how did you guys decode this? Nobody was supposed to decode this, Gnostics. And how did you find a simulation within the simulation? Because nobody knew this, and we didn't even know who created it. How did you create a simulation within a simulation? It reminded me of that movie. What was it called? The Dream Within the Dream. With God, what was that movie? The name of the movie with the Dream Within the Dream will come back to me, where they were manipulating their dreams and changing buildings, similar to this movie. God, what was the name of that? With God, what's his name? They played Rich. I didn't realize they did change like the buildings and stuff like they did in Dark City, but I won't jump into that. God, what was the name of that? But they called it a dream within the dream, and they would spin the top, and I can't remember, but it would come to. So the protagonist, Douglas Hall, undergoes a journey of waking up to the true nature of this reality. This transition from ignorance to knowledge is the essence of gnosis, achieving liberation by realizing that the physical world is an illusion. The film depicts consciousness being downloaded into different bodies across the simulations, And that's what they were doing in the movies, the 1990, the 1937, right? Even though it was 2024. This movie was made in 1998. I mean, we've been told they're planning to do this. They have mentioned this. If you don't know, they have mentioned this. Let me see how much time real quick my battery has. Probably should have plugged it in before I recorded this, but I think I have time. Oh yeah, I got time. Wait, one more time. One more look. Oh yeah, I got time. We won't take that. We won't go to that length of what's left. He aligns with Gnostic belief in dualism, where the eternal spirit is separated from the superior to the temporary physical form. The edge of the world, I like that, the edge of the world, discovering the broken computer wireframes where the horizon should be. So that's what, this was what I liked about it, was at the end, he went to the end of the world, and he seen this was all computer simulation by the wires instead of continuance of the plane. He was seeing that this was a simulation, and then he realizes this is the whole world. How many of these are there in the story? That's what he did. And as you see in the bottom here, it talks about the Matrix. Of course, that's one. Dark City, which is the other one I watched. In the story of this, it was interesting because the police were looking, because the one of the guys who created it, back to his name, not Hall, but where's the dad at? Douglas, no. Hannon Fuller. Where's your dad? Isn't Hannon the girl? Because there was a dad that she had. He's the one that died at the beginning. Her dad, what was his name? John Hall, I think, or John Fuller was his name. And he got killed going from he went to 1937, and when he came back, he was killed. Murdered at a bar, outside of a bar. So what happened is they started looking at Douglas Hall as the one that did it, and he's like, I can't remember. I don't think I would kill him. I love that man. He was connected to me, and on and on and on, right? But as it unwinds, the police are on this, trying to figure out the murder. So they go on this machine, this like time machine simulation. They upload themselves into the simulation and go to 1937, and he finds out that the 1937 was the same man who was the John Fuller, which I'm surprised John Fuller's not mentioned here. Right, I don't see John Fuller. I see Hannon, which was his daughter. Let me see, it doesn't say anything about that. Okay, because it talks about Hall. I wanted to see John Fuller if it popped up. Let me add John Fuller right here real quick. Hannon Fuller. Maybe it's not. Oh, the dad is Hannon. What was the girl's name? His daughter. Anyway, so I was wrong. That he was the Hannon Fuller, the creator of the simulation, serving as the CEO of the tech company, 2024. So this went 2024 simulation to 1990 to 1937. In the real world, 2024, the real Hannon Fuller, the father of Jane Fuller, that's the one, Jane was a woman, was an NPC, non-player character, modeled specifically after the real world father. Wow. He was an NPC, adding that. And I didn't catch that in the movie. Interesting, that part. John Fuller, this is the 1937 version, simulation within the simulation. In that layer, John Fuller is a virtual character from the 1990s. Hannon Fuller, Jackson to experience of the 1930 world, he's portrayed as missing husband of Natasha Milano, who herself is the 1937 version of Jane Fuller, the daughter, right? Showing short, they're the same personalities across 3 different layers of the reality. The real world, which is Hannon Fuller's Jane's father. The Simulation 1, 1999. Hannon Fuller, the CEO, mentor, and NPC in the 1937. John Fuller, the link in the NPC. Very good movie. And you see the connections show you the demiurge, the protagonist, and the simulation reality. And that's when Mr. Hall, who was in this, what's his name, that was in this, where's he at? Douglas Hall, seen through it. And Hannon, which he was close to, the one who created it, never told him about this. They were creating a thing to upload yourself, consciousness. And no, we've been told the uploading of consciousness. This is where you really beware for your younger people, man, because they're the programmed computer age. They'll give up their soul for an upload. They will, and this is something I expect them to try to do. Definitely Elon Musk has mentioned it, and some. But there's even the BlackRock is even more advanced, more than Elon's. So the journey of this, the demiurge is Hannon Hall, and Douglas acts as the demiurge, but actually Douglas wakes up and realizes what it is, because it says he undergoes a journey of waking up, the true reality of this reality, the true nature, and his ignorance to the knowledge essence of gnosis, achieving liberation, realizing the physical world's an illusion. He keeps saying this is not real. When he realized this is not real, you can unplug me, he kept saying. Then he found out through his waking up, he went to the end of the world and realized it all was a program or a simulation. And that's kind of how it ended. It ended them ending, and the daughter and John got together. And if you've seen earlier, it did say that Hannon was the non-player character, was a copy of her dad, and this appeared at the end was the real next reality. But it will also end up, if they never did a simulation of that. You could have came. So yeah, so interesting that these movies came out, and this movie came out in the 1999, 1998. It's not like new. They were telling us about simulation theory, because that was really pushed a long time. This was known even by some, even as much as 100 years ago, by scientists. They hid it, and to say, oh, some other people found in the 90s, which they did, but it was hidden that people were talking about this even in the early 1900s or late 1800s. I've kind of seen Archaics talk about that with some people with a book. They were talking about simulation way, 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 way back then with the simulation theory. So this movie was interesting. The plot to the movie was really good, showing you the aspects of the waking up, the simulation, because they would go into the uploading their consciousness to time travel into another simulation. And when they time travel into another simulation, well, it makes sense now even more when we talk about time travel, is they would what happened was they set it an hour and 120 minutes, and Hall woke up because he put no timer on it and went longer. It shook him up when he came back. He was like dizzy, but he actually broke through with greater understanding and realized this isn't at all what I thought it was. This is a simulation, man. These people seem so real in 1937. In fact, he told one of the other guys in it that was part of the tech guy that was doing the simulation, you were a bartender, he told him. And he goes, you were the bartender in 1937 at the bar, and you tried to kill me. You tried to shoot me. And he goes, what? And I was thinking this was what was happening on the other side. Well, it kind of did at the end. He kind of went crazy because the guy that shot him in 1937, John Hall, the one that was a bartender but was part of the computer programmer now for this new thing that was supposed to come out like soon. But John Hall, not John Hall, but Hannon, right, Fuller, used it before they were supposed to, and John Hall didn't know. And when he came back, the other guy that was there told him, no, he went on his own. He wanted to try it out. He wanted to experience something. And then he was able to see that and he came back, and he was Larry. And then when he came back, is the same night he was killed in the story when he came back. And the police were involved, the detectives were involved, because they're looking for who's the murderer of Mr. Fuller, because this is his multi-billion-dollar business of technology, right? Tech. And it was about creating a simulation that they were saying, it's coming out soon, so he wanted to try it. And it worked. And even when John Hall said, It worked. You mean he did came back? It worked. He goes, yeah, he came back. It worked. But he pushed the limits. But him pushing the limits when he went in the simulations, really what woke him up when he put no timer on it. He went beyond time. And he was there longer than the time would allowed. And the machine was almost like going, hey, you have no timer. You did not set the timer. It kept saying that. And when he came, he did come back. But the other guy saying, you know how close you were to being stuck within the simulations because you were pushing it because you were supposed to set, you didn't set the timer. But when he didn't set the timer, like I said, this is when he started realizing this is a simulation. And then the girl, the daughter of Fuller, who came later and he said, you know, your dad never told me you had a daughter. And he was leery of this woman, but started looking at her, and then they start talking, and she said, he told me all about you. There's a little love romance between them two, or they liked each other. But it's a definitely interesting movie. I would suggest this to go watch it. This would be a great movie for you, interesting to see movies, and see what, I mean, this movie is 27, 28 years old. It's not like it was made in 2020. So they were sharing this. Look how old the Matrix are, and they ended up making what 3 Matrix movies out of that. But just a little bit of what it. Another one's Dark City. Dark City's very interesting. A little bit more. This was Discovery, but this one is a little bit more like them, the Archons, right? Because the Demiurge was John Fuller, and then you see he was an NPC. And in Hall, but Hall woke up when he stayed too long and put no timer on it, walking in time, above time, like time's no more. When he didn't put the timer on it, he woke up to the simulation. I'm just seeing something here in the story that I see. Kind of like the construct of time was being broken by him, that it was more than kind of taking the illusion out of time in the story. That's what I'm kind of seeing there. That could be. So the next one I will do, not next video, I think I will go ahead and do the Sophia and the 13 levels of her repentance, because it goes with the 13th floor here. And everything ended on the 13th floor of this movie. That's what you got to see. Everything, the accumulation of everything was on the 13th floor of this movie. Dark City, like I said, Archons are involved. Putting people to sleep, people being sedated in sleep not by drugs, by power, and then uploading their consciousness, trying to deplete their memories. But there is a gnostic that shows up and puts a big wrench in the cog of the story. Dark City, and I will share that. The next one I share, a movie, will be Dark City, but I believe it's kind of known. I need to do this. We need to go do the 13 repentances of Sophia, which represents the 13 realms, to the highest realm, the 13th. And they always told us the 13th was a lucky number. Unlucky number. Putting us in fear, like, oh no, don't do this. Don't go to work on the 13th, when I'm finding out a little bit of what I'm seeing. The 13th is really not that. It's the opposite. It has a deeper connection to your soul. They were trying to put fear and market so you wouldn't understand the 13th. Is what I'm picking up a lot and seeing in some of the stuff I've been studying and reading of the numerology, definitely connection in 13th repentances, to going to the 13th realm. And then they told you, be afraid of the 13th. It's a curse, right? Friday the 13th. Isn't Friday connected to Venus's Saturday? Venus is Friday. Friday the 13th is Venus. Venus is 13. Yeah. Friday is is Venus. Yeah. Saturn is Saturday. Sun, of course, is Sunday. But you guys have a great day. Again, Daniel, Daniel, capital D, Abril, capital A, D-Boy, all lower cases. A D, just a D, lowercase, boy, all together, WCU, and this Cash App. If you could give, I would definitely be grateful for you, and open doors of blessings would open to you. You guys have a great, wonderful evening or day when you watch this, and keep your gnosis on activation.